What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be doing a quick install and review on a new set of deep pocket fender flares for my 2015 Ford F350 lifted truck. Now, these particular fender flares are a more budget-friendly option compared to some of the higher cost name brand fender flares out there like Bushwhacker, for example. Now, I've had Bushwhacker fender flares on my last few truck builds because, again, when I do a lifted truck and I put much larger wheels on, I try to put bigger fender flares on to help cover up some of the wheels sticking out past the fender for really two reasons. Number one, to deter cops, because obviously wheels that stick out past your fenders are typically illegal. But if you could get a fender flare that covers a good bit of that, it'll still give your truck an aggressive look, but it won't draw as much attention from the cops. And number two, when you have much wider wheels on your vehicle, you're going to fling up more debris all over the side of your truck. So bigger heavy-duty fender flares are going to help cover that. But instead of going with Bushwhacker, because it's hard to find the deep pocket versions, I found this set. This is a new line of fender flares, so I liked how they looked and I wanted to give them a try. And what's even better, they come in at a fraction of the cost. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's take a closer look. Okay, so we're in the garage. So these are the fender flares I just picked up. Now, just so you know, they don't come painted. They come with a smooth, flat black finish. So it's up to you if you want to paint match them or not. But typically what I recommend doing is before you start paint matching anything, do a trowel fit. Take the fender flares and set them up against your truck just to confirm 100% that they do fit the contours of your truck and that you like how it looks, which I've already done. They actually fit pretty good and they line up to the contours of the truck. So next, I sent them out to my buddy to get paint matched, which is the Ford Oxford White. So they turned out really good and I'm really happy with the paint finish on that. Then you're going to get a bag of hardware that you could go ahead and put your metal rivets in. Now, these are metal rivets, but they don't bolt into your fender. They're just for show. So basically all you have to do is put the bolt on the outside with a washer, and then you'll put a nut on the inside, which is a lock nut. So once you put all those in, tighten them down on each fender. I got two more over there. Then you're gonna have a large roll of a rubber gasket, which is this right here, okay? It comes in a roll. All you have to do is peel off the red 3M tape, and then you're basically just gonna stick it along the outer upper edge where your rivets are, which is going to be touching the exterior paint of your truck. So you're not doing the bottom section, you're only putting the rubber gasket along the top section. But again, I got them painted, they're paint matched, they're ready to go. And so far, my initial impressions, I definitely give them a thumbs up and give them a go. The quality of the actual fender flare is pretty much just like a Bushwhacker. They almost look identical. They look very similar. The contours fit the truck. I like the deep pockets cut out right here where the rivets are. It gives you a nice aggressive look. Now, these are the deeper pocket fender flares, so they typically cover over 3 inches of wheel coverage, where some of your basic fender flares might only cover roughly 2 inches. Because I'm running 26 by 14 wide wheels on 38 by 15.5 inch tires, so you can see they stick out a good bit. But if I could get a fender flare that covers about 3 inches of that, it won't be so bad after they're installed. So without further ado, let me start putting some of these fender flares into position, and then we'll take a closer look here shortly. I'll be right back in a minute. Okay, so the front is already done. So again, everything lined up perfect. Again, no issues with any of that. The seal looks pretty good all the way around the top edge. Again, no issues. Everything lines up real good. If you see under here, you just have your 4 bolts that come in the front. You just line them up and screw them in. But before you fully tighten them, push on the fender flare towards the truck just a little bit to create a tighter seal up top, and then tighten them down there. Now at the bottom, there will be a 5th bolt here you'll have to put in, but on my truck, I cut that part of my fender out a little bit so that I could clear bigger wheels. So what I'll probably end up doing is just taking a cutting wheel and just kind of cutting this section off my fender flare there so that my wheels don't happen to grab a hold of it under a compression situation and break it. So I'll end up trimming that off. But on your truck, you might not have to because you might have a different wheel setup than mine. But as far as the front goes, they look really good. And I'm really happy with the overall coverage. I mean, if you look here, this much wheel was sticking out past the fender before. Now it's only a couple inches here. So it looks a lot better. And I'm really happy with how they look. They look awesome. They fit awesome. They line up perfectly. The bolts line up perfectly. So I have no issues with that. Now, if we move on to the back, The back is pretty simple and easy as well. Again, what you want to do is take some type of, cleaning ceramic wax or just whatever you want to use, and actually cleaning this area really good first. Now, if you have any little marks or debris, or even just tiny little rust deposits like that right there, that usually come up from like brake dust or road debris that kind of melts into your clear coat, just take a little bit of steel wool and go ahead and just rub that off. Just like that. Again, steel wool, as long as you're light on it, it'll clean up those little rust spots like that. Just like that. So again, most of these little rust deposits are usually from brake dust or road debris that gets up on your paint and melts it a little bit. So a little bit of steel wool, you can go in there and clean off any of these little pieces of debris and get it nice and clean. Once you're all done with the steel wool, go back over with a little ceramic wax detailer and clean that up one more time. So let me finish this up and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're all done cleaning all that off. Now again, is this a necessary step? No. I recommend doing it because if you're going to be using fender flares to cover the factory paint, there is a chance when you're dealing with fender flares that a little bit of moisture gets back there, maybe a little bit of road debris. So again, I like to clean this area off first and put a nice little coat of wax on there just to give it a little extra protection. The next step, and this is on the back only, the front doesn't have these, but on the back, you're gonna get these little peel and stick little pads like here. You're going to wrap them around these little holes. So it'll be this hole here, this hole here, this hole here, and then this top hole here. So basically what you're doing is you're gonna line up the tape about right there and you're gonna fold it around the back, because once you do that, you have these compression clips here that basically just slide over top with the little hole facing down that slides over top. Now, I don't really like using these particular compression clips. And these type of pinch clips right here, they do pinch that lip really well and create a pretty good seal there. But I prefer using clips like this that clips on and the bolt goes all the way through the clip and the fender. So I'm not using these ones here. You can definitely use them. There's nothing wrong with them. I'm just saying for a little added security, I like using these types of clips that I could put a bolt all the way through. But the same thing, once you put your little pad over there, you're gonna slip that on from the back. You're gonna line your fender flare up. You're gonna put your bolts all the way in and tighten them in. Then once you get those 4 bolts mounted on, then we're gonna go move on to the bottom bolts, which are just a little bit different, but we'll get to that here in a minute. So let me finish doing these 4 bolts and we'll be right back. Okay, so now that we got the fender flare mounted with our 4 main bolts put in, now we just have to do the bottom bolts, which come with the kit. So basically what you have to do is take off the nut. Again, it's a little hard doing this with one hand. Take off the large washer, and then you're gonna take off the spacer. This bolt here with a washer is gonna go up from underneath the truck here, okay, and pop out this big hole right there. But you also have to take this spacer and slide it behind this bracket, but on top of the fender flare. So just kind of tuck it up under there and set it in place about right there. Then you're going to take your bolt from underneath, slide it right through there like that. You're going to put your washer on the top. You're going to take your lock nut here, put it on like that and tighten it up. Then it'll look like that. Just like that on the back. So if you come here, you'll see that you put your bolt to the bottom with a washer. There is your spacer. There is your large washer and your lock nut holding it in place. Once you tighten it all down, you're completely installed. So let me go ahead and tighten that bolt down. I'm gonna do the same procedure on both sides and we're gonna wrap this video up. So I'll be right back in a minute. Okay, so we are all done. We got the brand new Spec-D tuning oversized fender flares installed on my 2015 Ford F350. Now these are typically going to give you additional wheel coverage compared to most fender flares out there, which was what I was looking for because I wanted maximum coverage for these oversized 15.5-inch wide tires. Now, overall, the quality seems to be just as good as a bushwhacker fender flare. All of the holes lined up, all of the bolts lined up, all of the hardware lined up. Everything worked great. It came with a nice rubber gasket that you have to install, which seals up real nice and good against the truck so that the plastic is not rubbing against the truck, damaging your paint. I personally did a little bit of trimming on the bottom here because I trimmed out my fender a little bit. Because I have larger 26 by 14 wheels on 38 by 15.5 inch tires, on full turn under certain compression situations, my tire might scrape the bottom down here. So I just cut that off a little bit. But I only did that on the front fender flares because I like to make sure that I have full turning capabilities without rubbing anything. If we come down to the back, as you can see, everything lines up. It follows the contour of the truck really well. Very simple and easy to install. It really keeps this mounted on there nice and tight. So at the end of the day, my overall impressions of these budget-friendly Spec-D tuning max coverage fender flares for the 2015 Ford F350, I definitely give them a thumbs up and give them a go. I think the quality is awesome. The fitment is awesome. They're very easy to paint. They look great on the truck, and they come in at a fraction of the cost compared to more expensive name brand fender flares. We got the new Spec-D tuning max coverage fender flares installed on my 2015 Ford F350. Overall, I am really impressed. For a budget-friendly max coverage fender flare, I really think these fender flares are awesome and I highly recommend them. So if you're looking for a heavy-duty max coverage fender flare for your Super Duty truck, I definitely recommend checking out the Spec-D tuning max coverage fender flares. But that's going to be it for today's video. I hope this video helps some of you out. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button and like this video. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comments section and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And also do me a favor, subscribe to the channel because it definitely helps me out and I greatly appreciate it. So that's it. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Thank you. I truly appreciate you all. And as always, see you in the next video.